Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 137 of a year of change. I know that we normally do snack alternatives or food things on Wednesdays, and this is still sort of a food thing, but this is something that I talked about not last week, but the week before actually, and was going to do last week and forgot to do. So, sorry. But it's something that it's a bit of a mistake that I made on my part, actually. A while ago when I was trying to do different snack alternatives and things like that, there just seems to be this overall opinion. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. I'm actually on track. Never mind. There seems to be this overall opinion that popcorn is healthier than potato chips, which is sort of true. If you're just taking like air popped popcorn with no butter, no salt, things like that, there's less fat in it, and less calories, stuff like that. But who eats just regular air popped popcorn? Nobody. Again, psychopaths. That's it. That's pretty much the only people that do. At the time I thought, okay, well, popcorn's obviously better. I know that the kind that I buy is just sort of like, I know there's salt and butter on it, but it has to be better than chips at some point. But I never actually took the time to compare the two. So that's what I did. Because I thought I want to at least take a look and see how much of a difference that there is. So the best way to do this, I figured, was to take just like the regular potato chip bag size that you would get like in a vending machine or something, or just the normal, not the little tiny Halloween snack size ones, but the regular size chip bag. And compare that to how much you would like, pretty much the same amount that you would eat with popcorn. So for popcorn, I end up using, sorry, it's all crinkly and rattly, one of these. I'll cover the brand name. There's a version on the front of it, and it's Orville Flicken Flackers little pop-up bowl thing. So that's the size I'm comparing it to. So, here we go. That made a lot more noise than I thought it was going to. I wanted to compare something roughly the same size because one of those bags is about the same size as a chip bag. In the amount of food that's in it, it's 82 grams, and usually the chip bag size are 85. So I figured, good enough, I'll do 82 grams of each, and because the serving size on them says 50 grams or 35 grams or whatever it is, but if you're buying a bag of chips, you probably end up eating the whole thing. Same thing with if you buy a little bag of popping corn, I was actually going to say. Anyway, if you buy a bag of popcorn and you pop it in the microwave, you're probably going to eat the whole thing. So those are the two things I'm comparing. I won't do a whole bunch of numbers. I was going to display numbers for each one and compare and contrast, but I don't really need to. Long story short, they're pretty much identical when you look at microwave popcorn. I was assuming this is like the buttery kind that I get, because again, you need to have something on there. But when you compare that with potato chips, they're pretty much the same. There are a few little differences here and there between them, and I have my handy dandy cheat sheet that I'm going to look at. Calorie wise, believe it or not, popcorn is actually worse. Popcorn, get the extra buttery popcorn. That has more calories in it than the same amount of potato chips, or they have more calories. Is it plural? It has more calories. They have more. Popcorn. It has more calories. There we go. Just the bag of popcorn has more calories. It's not by much, but popcorn has about 20 calories more. And granted, that's from the salt that's on there and the buttery flavoring and the oil and everything else that's in there that does that. As far as fat goes, potato chips barely pop out ahead. I think it's mainly because they're just deep fried, and so all that leftover oil, but not by much. I should actually do the calories. I'll do the calories. I won't actually put the numbers up or anything, but for calories, for potato chips, 462, and for popcorn, 489. So popcorn just barely ekes out. For fat, potato chips pop out a little bit more, 28.9 grams as opposed to 26.2 grams. So there's a little bit more fat in the potato chips. Saturated fat, which I don't know what the difference is yet because we haven't gotten that far yet to explore these things. There's 9 grams in the potatoes, 13 in the popcorn. So I think the saturated fat is worse for you. So I'm assuming that the popcorn is worse in this situation. Sodium. This is the main thing that I wanted to sort of look at because I knew there was lots of sodium in it because when they add in the butter stuff, they add in salt as well. And at the time, I was actually still using the popcorn shaker things, which was adding even more. But in the regular size bag of potato chips, there's 491 milligrams. So that's like a third of what you need for the day. Popcorn was pretty much the same. It was a bit more, 508. So far, popcorn is looking like the worst choice between the two. If you're watching your carbs, which we haven't started doing yet, but some people are, I don't even know what they do. Although they're simple sugars. They give you energy and things like that, but I don't know why there's this low carb. Anyway. For potato chips, it's 43 grams, and for popcorn, 45. So again, potato chips are coming out. Potato chips are coming out ahead in this. Here's the one weird thing. And since we're talking about sodium this week, this sort of goes hand in hand with that, is potassium levels. Now, potassium has the opposite effect that sodium does. Sodium raises your blood pressure. It increases the amount of fluid that's in your blood, and that's what causes the pressure, which can cause heart disease and a whole bunch of other bad things to happen, which we'll get into later on tomorrow. But potassium has the opposite effect. It lowers your blood pressure. And potatoes, the potato chips, have a huge amount of potassium in them, which is good for you. So they have over 1,000 milligrams in one serving of potato chips, where popcorn doesn't even crack 300. It has 295 milligrams. I don't know how much that is for the daily allowance. We'll get into that tomorrow. But yeah, the potassium is through the roof for the potatoes. So overall, when you're going through like trying to decide, do I get popcorn? Do I get potatoes? Well, popcorn is a healthier choice. Overall, I'm going to say potato chips are. I mean, they're both bad. We know that. They're both horrible, horrible things to pick for a snack. But this is what happens when you start actually paying attention to your food and the serving sizes and stuff like that. And it was really just a couple of weeks ago that I decided I was going to compare these two and found that that popcorn was so bad. Now, if you do the air pop thing, where there's no salt, no butter, no flavor, no nothing, then yes, popcorn is quite a bit better. Calorie-wise, not so much. There's still, in comparison to the 450 or 500 calories that the regular stuff does, it still has 300 calories. So there's like an extra 200 calories in butter and oil and everything else. But everything else drops way down. The fat drops way down to 3 grams. Saturated fat doesn't even hit 1. Sodium drops way down to 7 milligrams. But again, you can't taste anything, so what's the point? The carbs that I was looking for, oddly enough, and I don't know why this is, the carbs went up when I was looking for air pop popcorn. For the same amount of popcorn, it was really weird. I could not find one instance of it actually going down from microwave or potato chips, so I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if it's because it's, the starch in it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't get degraded, or whatever the situation is. But the carbs actually went up by a lot. It was 63.8. So I'm assuming I did my math wrong. But I figured I would share that with you anyway. If you could find another one, more power to you. And then as far as potassium, it's a little bit less than all the other stuff because there's must be potassium in the oil and butter or whatever chemical that they use to put in there. That drops down to 269. So aside from the fat and the calories, air pop popcorn, and the sodium, obviously. But the air pop popcorn is one of those things that you're just like, it's sort of like a rice cake. Unless you actually enjoy it, in which case you're probably weird. But, it's one of those things where people go, oh no, I love air pop popcorn. No, you don't. But it's okay. I'll pretend like you do, and you'll pretend like you do, and then you go home and you go, oh no, it's air popped, it's fine. And then you pour butter and salt and everything all over it. So, as I'm watching my sodium levels now, trying to keep everything down, obviously, this is not a good choice for me anymore. And the pickles way back at the beginning where they have a ton of sodium in them. Like one pickle has like 60% of what I need for the day. Those are going to have to get curbed as well. I mean, every now and then it's fine because we need to have, there has to be some point where you still can have things that you like. There are going to be days when we're always going to go over. We've discussed this before. And especially now, and I'm not doing this just because I'm working on sodium, but every now and then, if you have a movie night or something, you're going to want some really, really good popcorn. Or chips or whatever you decide to get for your snack. We're going to have those days. The key is to not have is. I'm all over the place again. I know I do this every single video. I'm like, oh, well, I'm sorry, my grammar's off today. I'm like this on every video, so I'm going to stop saying it and I'll point it out when it happens. So the point is that there has to be, we can have those from time to time, but our eating habits in the past anyway, hopefully still in the past, have been that we ate like that all the time. And that's sort of part of what we've been doing, isn't cutting things out completely and saying we can never have this again, or saying, oh, well, obviously I have to have the air pop kind because the real popcorn that tastes awesome is bad for me, so I can't have that. It's fine to have those moments when you say, you know what, yes, I'm going to have some junk food. We're going to sit and we're going to watch, all 3 Lord of the Rings back to back. So there's 12 hours. So you're going to watch all those. Yes, you need to have popcorn for something like that. Or chips or whatever your snack is. It's not the same, having celery stalks and, steamed rice for your snack for that. It's okay to do that from time to time. Our problem was that we were doing it for every single meal and then in between meals nonstop. That's where our problem was. So overall, we can eat healthy. We can have our regular meals throughout the day. And then every once in a while, and not every once in a while doesn't mean every day, but every once in a while, yes, we can say, good enough, you know what, it's someone's birthday at work, so we're going to have a piece of cake. Or we're going to watch a movie, so we can have popcorn. That's where we need to get to, is a point where there's that nice balance, where it's okay to, indulge, I couldn't think of the word, to indulge once in a while. It's not a matter of depriving ourselves of, anything good ever again, because that's the attitude that sort of comes hand in hand with going on a diet. So you say, well, I can't have this or I can't have that. And there are some that say, oh, well, don't say it like that. Look at it and say, I don't eat this or I don't eat that. It's still depriving yourself of it. And it's still denying the fact that you have an issue with it. What we need to do is to get to a point where we can say, no, I can't eat that every single day because it's bad for me. It's more of a logic thing than anything else. And then when the time comes and you say, well, you know what, I'm going out to the movies. I'm going to get popcorn and I'm going to get gummy bears and I'm going to get, a drink. And yes, I'm going to enjoy myself. And if I go over, I go over. But we've been exercising more. Overall, we're watching what we're eating. So it's okay to do that once in a while. And I know I'm sort of backtracking on what we've done for the past 4 months. But we still haven't cut any food out. I mean, this is sort of a, be careful because chips or the popcorn is just as bad as chips. You can't just go in and say, oh, I can have as much as I want because it's fine. It's not. But it's one of those things that should be sort of classified along with potato chips or with cake or with cookies. When you have those days when you think, no, I'm going to have a bit of a junk food day. Just as long as we aren't binging throughout the entire day, which is what we used to do. The infamous icing story. As long as we aren't doing that, then I think we're okay. As long as we're still staying under our calorie goal, and I don't want to set a time and say once a week it's okay or once a month it's okay. When it's okay. You can look at things and logically count things out and look at it and say, you know what, I've been doing this far too often. I need to get back on track. I need to get to where I was before. Well, not where I was before, because that was a horrible place. Because I was just eating popcorn and cake and cookies and chips and everything else all the time. It was very, very bad. But it's just, I know that this was normally supposed to be more focused on food, and we've sort of set that aside. But it was just one of those things that where we're now paying more attention to what we're eating, these are the sort of things that we need to look at. The things that we think are probably healthier and better for us, in this situation especially, it's actually worse. Because you can't just go by that little nutrition label on there. You have to sort of do a little bit of math as well. So Because when you're looking at that nutrition label, it says, oh, look, it's only 120 calories. Yeah, but that's for a quarter of a cup of whatever it is. And, a normal serving is 4 cups. So, just trying to do that quick math will help as well. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. Overall, we're doing very, very well. And we want to stay on track. Where I'm watching sodium, or we're all watching sodium. We should be anyway at this point. I know I sort of keep saying it's me, but this is a sodium week where we're looking at this for the next 4 weeks anyway. That over the next 4 weeks, we need to get to a point where we can go back and look at it and say, you know what, week to week, we were under. We had some days where we were over. We had some days when we were under. We're okay. But we're evening things out. That's our main goal. So when you have, say 4 weeks where everything is fine, and then there's that one huge spike in whether sodium or sugar or whatever it is that you're looking at, and you go back and you think, oh, that's right. We had this little celebration for Pivy at work. It's a real name. Pivy and Crindy. They were great. So it's fine, though. You're going to have those days where you're going to say, I went over. But I think the difference is that in the past, we spent so much time just constantly going over anyway, that it was a daily occurrence, that we weren't watching anything that we were eating. But in the past 4 months, we've added fruits and vegetables to our diet. We've stayed under our calorie goal as much as humanly possible. And for the vast majority of us, it should be that when you go back, the spikes are very few and far between. And that's how we're measuring our progress. Our weight has been steadily going down, not because we're dieting and exercising and trying to push ourselves to the limit. Just the fact that we're starting to eat healthier. We're eating normally, as we should be. So part of that is that there are going to be days every once in a while when you're going to have something that is bad for you. We can't get to where we need to be by just flat out never having it, because that's when you're going to slip and you're going to go back to our old eating habits. You're going to have a day where you just say, no, I'm going to eat everything. I'm going to eat cookies and cakes and candy and chocolates, and just you're going to binge. And then you're going to feel like shit, and you're going to feel guilty, and you're not going to want to continue on. So I know this is sort of I'm trying really hard to avoid saying, it's okay, have a cheat day, you're fine. No, don't have a cheat day. You're not fine. Don't do that. You've got a lot of momentum. Don't give it all up at this point. All I'm saying is that when it does happen, and it inevitably is going to happen, there's going to be a situation, or there's going to be an event or something that you're going to want to sort of say, I can't do any more, otherwise I'm going to go over for the day. Say, good enough. I can still have some. It's just we can't go overboard. That's all. So this is not free reign to go out and eat popcorn and chips and candies and cookies and cakes and everything else. But, just stay on track the way that we've been going. But if you have one of those days, don't beat yourself up. Don't get discouraged. Don't look at it and say, I've got to start all over again. No, and I've said this before, just say, you know what, it's a bad day. It was a bad day. Maybe it wasn't even a horribly bad day. Maybe just one of the days that you went out with friends and you went over. Then just say, good enough. Just keep going the way I've been going for the past 4 months. And it's just a little bump in the road. We're going to have those from time to time. But every now and then, it's okay to have some junk food. I don't want to say, once a month is fine. You're going to know when it's good for you. You're going to know when you're bullshitting yourself and saying, oh, no, it's okay if this is just one day. We always know when we're lying to ourselves. We are very good at convincing ourselves that things are either good or bad, depending on what our attitude is at the moment. So look at it practically and logically, and then say, do I really, really want this, or do I really, really need this? There is a difference. So, and overall, I think we're still going to do fine, though. But we'll keep watching our sodium levels for the next 4 weeks. I was still under mine yesterday, which was good. I did go out and get the noodles that I was looking for, but I measured out very carefully what I was going to be eating, and actually ate less than I accounted for on MyFitnessPal at first. And then anyway, long story short, everything's measured properly. I was still under my sodium goal. That's the main thing. I want to keep under that. That's really what I'm looking at. Looking at the calorie numbers at this point is not as difficult. I can stay under those quite a bit. As long as I'm eating regularly throughout the day and don't binge in the morning or something. But the sodium levels, I've got to start paying attention to that, and it feels like it's that same sort of feeling that we had when we first started back, at the very beginning, in the first few weeks, when you look at it and you go, God, I went over my calories, and I went over my calories again and again and again, and then you went, okay, now I'm going down, and a little easier to measure it that way. This is going to take time, which is why we're taking, another 4 weeks to work on sodium, so that by the end of that 4 weeks, it'll be a little easier to maintain, and then we won't have to focus so much energy on that, and we can move on to the next one, which I want to say is going to be fat, but it might be sugar. Yeah, I don't know, whichever one is worse. Which, unfortunately, I've been looking at it. I think sugar is a lot worse. So, sugar actually might be a little easier for us to cut out because a lot of it is going to be like refined sugar and stuff like that. And you can take a look at it. But, and the fats are a little more complex because there is saturated fat and unsaturated fat and omega fatty acids and, some other fat thing. But we'll figure that out. I've got 4 weeks to go through it to find out which one's going to be more difficult. Whichever is the more difficult one, that's the one that we'll probably end up doing. Just because I find it's easier for me just to say, okay, get rid of the hard stuff first, and then the easy stuff will come along. Plus, then if, say that we do fat and then sugar, and sugar is your hard point, is that a word? Term? It is now. Good enough. Sugar is the hard point. Anyway, if that is, out of the 3 that we're doing, if that's the hardest one that's going to be for you to give up, at least that way, I've got, 2 really hard ones to help out. This is sounding dirtier and dirtier. I'm sorry. Don't mean it to be. I have 2 frames of reference to help cope with, the 3rd one. So we'll go from there. But I haven't figured that out yet. I think it's probably going to be fat and then sugar. But I don't know yet. So it'll be a surprise. Anyway, I've gone all over the place here, but mainly this was focusing on popcorn and chips. So I have to cut both of those out. Not really cut them out, but you know what I mean. I haven't had popcorn in a very long time anyway. Those bags that I showed you are quite old. But it's mainly because when I'm looking at the end of the day, is usually when I would have something like that. It's just, I'm usually very close, and I figure, I can have other stuff in between. But now that I know that chips are pretty much equal to popcorn all the way around, it's probably going to go by the wayside. I'm going to have to find something else. Every now and then, though, still going to save them, obviously, because they keep forever. And some movie night, you got to have popcorn. You just have to. There's no way around it. Anyway, I'm not going to repeat myself, because you know where we stand, you know what to do, and we know whether we're lying to ourselves or not. So, every once in a while is okay, but overall, I think we're still on a good track. Cutting is not really cutting things out, but eating healthier as much as we can. So, we have, once in a while, even better, if you can have that once in a while, stay under your calorie goal, we're golden. We're good to go. Anyway, that's it for this video, so thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.